The morning had started like any other. The small restaurant was quiet, the sunlight streaming through the windows, casting warm light across the tables. She moved from one table to another, wiping them carefully, ensuring everything was neat and ready for the day. It was not the most glamorous job, but she liked it. She liked the rhythm of taking orders, making small talk, and serving people. It gave her a sense of purpose, even if the tips were never enough to cover all the bills. Her life had not been easy. She worked long hours every day, often coming home exhausted, yet she kept going because her family depended on her. She had a mother who was ill, and every paycheck went to cover medicine, rent, and groceries. The idea of quitting never crossed her mind. She had dreams, of course, but right now, survival was her priority. The lunch crowd started to trickle in. She greeted everyone with a warm smile, even when they were rude or demanding. She had learned to stay calm, to never show frustration, and to handle everything with grace. That was her rule. Work hard, stay kind, and never lose her composure. Then, that evening, they came in. A couple, dressed in fine clothes, arrived at the restaurant, and it was immediately clear they were not ordinary guests. He had an air of power around him, a quiet confidence that made heads turn as he passed. She recognized him instantly. News outlets and magazines often featured him, calling him a billionaire, a man who owned multiple businesses across the world. And his girlfriend, walking beside him, radiated charm, but her eyes carried something cold, almost calculating. She tried to stay professional, greeting them politely and showing them to their table. Every movement she made was careful, precise, hoping to make a good impression. The man simply nodded, his expression neutral, while the woman scanned the menu with a sharp look, as if she were ready to find fault with anything done at first. Everything seemed fine. She took their orders and served them without incident. But as the evening went on, small things started to happen. A glass tipped over slightly. A napkin was not folded perfectly. She apologized immediately, but the woman's eyes narrowed, and a sharp tone entered her voice. "This is unacceptable," the woman said, her words cutting through the air. "Do you know who we are? I don't pay for this kind of service. Fix it immediately." Her voice was loud enough for nearby tables to notice. People glanced over, some whispering, others shaking their heads. She kept her calm, bowing slightly. "I'm very sorry. I'll take care of it right away," she said softly. She cleaned the area, rearranged the table, and offered a sincere smile. She had faced difficult customers before, but this was different. The woman seemed to want to humiliate her, to make her feel small. Then came the moment that changed everything. She accidentally spilled a few drops of water while refilling their glasses. It was a minor mishap, nothing serious, but it was enough to trigger an explosive reaction. "This is ridiculous," the woman yelled. "You are completely incompetent. I want her fired immediately." She waved her hand as if shooing a dog away. "Do not make me wait. I will not tolerate this kind of service." The manager, standing nearby, looked uncomfortable. He had always known her to be reliable, efficient, and polite. But he also knew the woman was powerful and influential. Losing her business could be devastating for the restaurant. Fear mingled with his sense of fairness, and he hesitated, unsure what to do. "Please, calm down," he said, trying to reason with her. "We can handle this without firing anyone." "No." "I want her gone now," the woman snapped, her voice leaving no room for discussion. "Do you understand? Fire her. This is your last warning." She felt her stomach drop. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had worked so hard, yet in a single moment, her life seemed to unravel. She tried to speak, to explain herself, but the words stuck in her throat. The manager, unable to resist the woman's pressure, finally nodded and spoke. "I'm sorry. You're going to have to leave," he said, looking guilty. "It's just, we can't risk upsetting our guests." She stood there stunned. She felt a wave of humiliation wash over her. The couple watched silently, their expressions unreadable, as she gathered her things. Her hands trembled slightly, and she fought to hold back tears. Every step she took toward the door felt heavy, each movement a reminder of how unfair life could be. Outside, the cool evening air hit her face. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She walked quickly, not wanting anyone to see her cry. Once she reached a quiet street, she paused, leaning against a wall, allowing herself a single moment to feel the weight of it all. The world seemed cruel and indifferent. She had done nothing wrong, yet her life had been disrupted by someone else's arrogance. As she walked home, her mind raced. How would she pay next month's bills? What would she tell her mother? She had no answers, only a lingering sense of injustice and helplessness. But beneath the despair, a small spark remained, a stubborn will not to give up, not yet. She had survived hard times before, and she could survive this too. The next morning, she returned to the restaurant, not for work, but to collect her final paycheck. Her hands were steady, her face composed. She wanted closure, a sense that she had done everything she could. As she entered the restaurant, she spotted him sitting alone, the billionaire, at a table near the window. He looked different without his girlfriend beside him, quieter, thoughtful, almost vulnerable. He noticed her immediately and gestured for her to come over. She hesitated, unsure what he wanted. She expected anger or indifference, but what she saw instead was curiosity, concern, something human and genuine. He asked about the incident, and she told the truth, keeping her tone calm and respectful. She explained how everything had happened, how the woman had been unreasonable, and how she had tried to remain professional. He listened without interruption, his eyes studying her closely. When she finished, there was a pause. Then he spoke, his voice low but firm. "I'm sorry that happened. It should never have been like that. I apologize on her behalf. I had no idea she would behave this way." She felt a flicker of relief, though it was mixed with surprise. He continued, asking her about her life, her dreams, her struggles. For the first time, she spoke openly, sharing her hopes of opening a small bakery, a place where people could feel welcomed, just as she had always wanted to feel in her life. He nodded thoughtfully, impressed by her honesty and resilience. He told her he wanted to help, that he saw potential in her that went beyond the misfortune of the previous night. She was cautious, unsure if he was serious or just being polite. But there was a sincerity in his eyes that she could not ignore. That moment, brief as it was, planted a seed of hope. She realized that sometimes, even in the face of humiliation and unfairness, life could offer unexpected opportunities. She didn't yet know what would come next, but for the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to imagine a future where she was in control, where her hard work and determination could finally pay off. Walking home later that evening, she felt a strange mixture of exhaustion and excitement. The world had been cruel, yes, but it had also shown her that human kindness and understanding could appear in the most unexpected forms. She held on to that thought, letting it guide her through the challenges that lay ahead, unaware that her life was about to change in ways she could never have imagined. The day after the incident, she woke up with a sense of nervous energy. The humiliation from the previous night still lingered, but there was also a spark of curiosity. She had never met someone like him before, the billionaire who had actually listened, who seemed genuinely interested in what she had to say. That encounter replayed in her mind as she prepared for the day, carefully choosing her clothes and making sure she looked presentable. Not for anyone else, but for herself. she walked to the restaurant, not as an employee this time, but to collect her final paycheck. The streets were busy with the morning rush, cars honking, people hurrying to work. She kept her head down, focusing on her steps, but her mind was alive with thoughts. How would she explain her dreams if given the chance? Could someone like him really believe in someone like her? As she entered the restaurant, she noticed him immediately. He was seated at a table near the window, alone this time. The absence of his girlfriend changed the atmosphere around him. He looked more relaxed, but there was still a sharpness in his eyes, a focus that made people feel like they could not hide anything. When he saw her, he gestured for her to come over. She approached cautiously, unsure what to expect. He greeted her with a small, warm smile. "Good morning. I wanted to see you before you leave," he said. His voice was calm, but carried a weight of sincerity. She nodded politely, trying to hide her nervousness. "I want to hear your side of yesterday," he continued. "I need to know what really happened." She took a deep breath and explained everything, from the moment the couple arrived to the unfortunate spill. She spoke honestly, without exaggeration, and without placing blame beyond what had occurred. He listened carefully, his eyes never leaving hers, nodding occasionally, absorbing every word. She noticed that he did not interrupt or judge, which made it easier to speak. When she finished, there was a long silence. Then he spoke, his tone serious. "I am very sorry that happened. It should never have happened. I had no idea she would behave this way. You did nothing wrong. I apologize on her behalf." She felt a strange mix of relief and disbelief. Few people had ever apologized sincerely to her before. His words were simple, but they carried weight. They made her feel seen. He leaned back in his chair and studied her face. "Tell me about yourself. What do you want to do in life? What are your dreams?" The question caught her off guard. She had never spoken about her dreams to someone so influential, someone whose opinion could change her life. She hesitated for a moment, then spoke softly, explaining her desire to open a small bakery. She described it as a place where people could feel welcomed, a place filled with warmth and good food, a space where her hard work could create happiness for others. He listened with interest, nodding thoughtfully. "That's an admirable goal," he said. "It sounds like something you could really succeed at." She blinked in surprise. How could someone like him, someone from a world so far from hers, believe in her vision? She felt a warmth in her chest, a sense that perhaps there were doors opening that she had never imagined. He asked more questions, gently probing, wanting to understand her motivations, her struggles, and her ambitions. She spoke about her family, her mother's illness, and the sacrifices she had made. She explained how every paycheck went toward survival, but how she had never stopped dreaming. Each word she spoke seemed to resonate with him. He did not treat her story as mere entertainment or a sad tale. He treated it as real, as something meaningful. After a long conversation, he leaned forward, his tone changing slightly. "I want to help you. I see potential in you that goes beyond what happened yesterday. I have resources and connections that could make your bakery possible. If you are willing, I would like to support you and even consider making you a partner in something bigger." She stared at him, her mind racing. Was he serious? Could this really be happening? Her first instinct was caution. She had learned to be wary of people who seemed to offer help too easily. But there was a sincerity in his eyes, a genuine interest that she could not ignore. She took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of excitement and fear. I don't know what to say," she admitted. "I never imagined something like this could happen to me." He smiled reassuringly. "You don't have to decide right now. Think about it, but know that I am serious. I believe in your ideas, and I want to see them succeed." She nodded slowly, trying to absorb the enormity of what he was offering. The thought of having someone with his influence supporting her dreams was almost too much to believe. Over the next few days, she could not stop thinking about the conversation. Every time she walked down the street, or prepared food at home, or helped her mother with medicine, she imagined what it would be like to actually work with him. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. She had always relied on herself, on her own abilities. But now she faced the possibility of stepping into a world she had never known. She spent her time preparing a rough plan for her bakery, writing down ideas, recipes, and ways to make it special. She wanted to show him that she was serious, that she had vision and determination. Each page she wrote, each detail she considered, made her feel more confident. Perhaps she could really do this. Perhaps she could transform her life. When she returned to the restaurant a few days later, she was ready. She met him again, and this time she brought her plans with her. He examined them carefully, asking questions, offering suggestions, and encouraging her to think bigger. His feedback was constructive, not condescending, and she appreciated it deeply. For the first time, she felt like someone was truly on her side, invested in her success rather than judging her mistakes. He also asked about her personal situation, learning more about her family and the challenges she faced. He did not pity her. He simply sought to understand and help. The more they talked, the more she realized that he was offering more than just money or influence. He was offering guidance, mentorship, and trust. During one conversation, he mentioned that he had been planning to invest in small local businesses for some time. He saw potential in people who were passionate, hardworking, and honest. He explained that he valued integrity over experience and vision over status. When she listened to him, she realized that she fit that description. She had integrity, she had vision, and she had never given up despite countless obstacles. Her confidence grew with each meeting. She began to see herself not as a victim of circumstances, but as someone who had survived, who had learned, and who could now thrive. The humiliation from the restaurant was still a memory, but it no longer defined her. Instead, it became a reminder of how far she had come and how much further she could go. By the end of that week, they had laid out the first steps for her future bakery. He would provide resources, help with legal and financial matters, and introduce her to people who could make her ideas a reality. She would bring her creativity, her passion, and her dedication. Together, they formed an unexpected partnership, one built on trust, respect, and shared ambition. Walking home that evening, she felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Her life had shifted dramatically in just a few days. The despair of being fired had given way to hope, possibility, and a sense of purpose she had never experienced before. She knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, she was ready to face it, not alone, but with someone who believed in her potential. That night, as she prepared for bed, she thought about the strange twists life could take. One moment, she had been humiliated, dismissed, and powerless. The next, she had been seen, heard, and offered a chance to create something meaningful. She realized that life could be unfair, yes, but it could also surprise you in ways that seemed almost miraculous. And sometimes, those surprises came from the most unexpected places. Over the next few days, she threw herself into planning for the bakery. Every free moment was spent sketching ideas, making notes, and imagining the way the space could feel warm and inviting. Her mother watched her with a quiet pride, noticing how her daughter's eyes shone with something she had not seen in a long time: hope. The small apartment was filled with the smell of fresh coffee and the faint scent of her mother's cooking, blending together as if the world outside had paused for a moment to let her dream grow. When she met him again, he looked pleased to see her so committed. He had reviewed her plans, studied her sketches, and discussed the potential with his advisors. He asked thoughtful questions, encouraging her to expand her ideas and consider every detail. Her mind raced to keep up, but she felt alive in a way she had never felt working long hours at the restaurant. She realized that she was finally being seen not for what she had been, but for what she could become. He explained that he wanted her to be more than just a beneficiary of his support. He wanted her to become a true partner. This idea was overwhelming at first. She had never imagined herself in a position where someone so powerful would treat her as an equal, where her ideas and efforts could hold real value. But as he spoke, she felt a growing confidence. He believed in her, and slowly she began to believe in herself. The days turned into weeks. They met frequently, discussing finances, suppliers, design plans, and marketing strategies. He introduced her to professionals who helped her understand the business side of things: lawyers, accountants, and designers. The complexity of it all was daunting yet invigorating. She learned quickly, her determination fueled by the knowledge that every effort brought her closer to the dream she had nurtured quietly for so long. Meanwhile, she noticed a change in the way people reacted to her. The restaurant gossip had spread about the billionaire's new interest in her, and whispers followed her wherever she went. Some were curious, some envious, and some skeptical. She tried not to let it bother her, focusing instead on the work at hand. She reminded herself that this opportunity was earned through her own perseverance, not handed to her by chance. He seemed to notice her struggles, both with the business and with the attention she was receiving. In their meetings, he would remind her to stay grounded, to focus on her vision, and to trust her instincts. He was not just a benefactor. He was a mentor, guiding her through the challenges with patience and care. She began to see him as a partner, not only in business, but in thought and strategy. Someone whose respect she valued deeply. One afternoon, while they were discussing suppliers, he asked about her family again. She spoke of her mother's illness, the constant worry about medical bills, and the way she had worked tirelessly to keep everything together. He listened intently, his expression serious. "You've carried so much on your own," he said. "It's time someone helps you carry some of that weight." She nodded, feeling a mixture of gratitude and relief. The offer was more than financial. It was a chance to breathe, to step out of constant struggle, and into a space where her efforts could be multiplied by guidance and resources. They spent hours refining the concept of the bakery. He encouraged her to think about every detail: the layout, the ambience, the menu, and the staff. She began to see how her dream could come to life in a way she had never imagined. He challenged her gently, asking questions that made her think more deeply about her goals, the customer experience, and the long-term vision. She realized that his input was shaping her dream into something even greater than she had hoped for. As they worked, she also noticed how her confidence grew. She began to speak more assertively, to make decisions without hesitation, and to trust her instincts. The fear that had once held her back started to fade, replaced by a quiet strength. She was no longer just a waitress or a dreamer. She was a creator, someone capable of taking her vision and turning it into reality. Their partnership was not without challenges. Some advisors questioned whether someone with her background could succeed in such a high-stakes environment. She faced moments of self-doubt, wondering if she truly belonged in this world. But he never let her falter. He reminded her of her resilience, her talent, and her determination. Each encouragement became a building block for her confidence, reinforcing the belief that she could rise above the obstacles. One evening, after a long day of meetings, they sat together in a quiet cafe, discussing the progress they had made. She realized that the journey had already changed her. She no longer feared failure in the same way. She understood that mistakes were part of growth, that learning and adapting were crucial. He shared stories of his own early failures, showing her that even the most successful people had faced setbacks. This honesty made her respect him even more and strengthened her trust in their partnership. The more they worked together, the more she understood the value of collaboration. He respected her ideas and insights, never overshadowing her contributions. She saw that his support was not about control, but about amplifying her vision. This realization gave her the courage to dream even bigger, to imagine the bakery not just as a small shop, but as a space that could touch the lives of many people, a place where warmth and kindness were felt in every corner. During this time, she also reflected on the past. The humiliation from being fired no longer felt like a burden. Instead, it had become a turning point. She realized that adversity had shown her her own strength, had prepared her for the challenges ahead, and had led her to someone who believed in her. The memory of that night was no longer painful. It was a reminder of how far she had come and how much potential lay ahead. As the weeks passed, the plan for the bakery became more concrete. Suppliers were lined up, the menu was finalized, and the interior design was nearly complete. She began meeting potential staff, selecting people who shared her passion and vision. Every decision she made was guided by the values she held dear: integrity, warmth, and excellence. She felt a deep sense of responsibility, knowing that the success of this venture depended on her dedication and vision. He continued to guide her, offering insights from his vast experience. He taught her about financial planning, marketing strategies, and customer relations. She absorbed everything eagerly, realizing that she was learning skills that would stay with her for a lifetime. Their partnership had become a dynamic blend of experience and creativity, mentorship and ambition, trust and respect. One afternoon, while reviewing the final layout of the bakery, he paused and looked at her. "You've done an incredible job," he said. "This is more than just a business plan. It's a reflection of who you are and what you stand for." She felt a surge of pride and gratitude. It was the first time she truly recognized her own potential. The first time she allowed herself to feel that her dreams were not only valid, but achievable. As they packed up their papers and prepared to leave, she realized that her life was transforming in ways she could never have imagined. From the humiliation of being fired to the hope of building something meaningful, she had traveled a path that seemed almost impossible. Yet here she was, stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. She understood that opportunity often came disguised as challenge, and that perseverance, integrity, and vision could open doors that seemed forever closed. Walking home that evening, she felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. The journey was far from over, but she knew she had taken the first real steps toward her dream. With guidance, hard work, and belief in herself, she was ready to face whatever came next. The bakery was no longer just a dream. It was becoming a reality, shaped by her determination and supported by someone who truly saw her worth. The day they finalized the plans for the bakery, she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The details were set, the suppliers confirmed, and the staff nearly ready to be hired. But what made her heart race the most was knowing that the dream she had carried quietly for years was finally becoming real. It was no longer just an idea in her head. It was taking shape in the real world. As they walked through the proposed location for the bakery, she imagined the warm lighting, the aroma of fresh bread and pastries, and the smiling customers who had come to enjoy it. He noticed the way her eyes sparkled, and he smiled. "You have a gift for imagining what this could be," he said. "Don't let anyone take that away from you." His words reminded her of the humiliation she had faced at the restaurant. For a moment, the memory of being fired flashed through her mind, but she shook it off. That moment no longer defined her. Instead, it had fueled her determination, and now it was guiding her towards something greater. She felt stronger, more focused, and ready to face any challenge that might come. They spent hours discussing the final touches. From the layout of the counters to the placement of tables and chairs, every detail mattered. She wanted the bakery to feel welcoming, a place where people could come not just to eat, but to feel at home. He listened to her ideas, offered suggestions, and encouraged her to think creatively. Together, they created a plan that balanced practicality with charm, ensuring the space would be both functional and inviting. When they returned to his office to review the budget and marketing plan, she was amazed at how much she had learned in such a short time. He guided her through the numbers, explaining costs, profits, and potential risks. She took notes carefully, absorbing every detail and asking questions whenever something was unclear. Each answer gave her more confidence and reinforced the idea that she could handle this venture, no matter how challenging it might be. While they were working, she noticed that people around them were talking. Some employees in his company had heard about the partnership and were curious, even skeptical. Some wondered how a former waitress could become a business partner with someone so wealthy and influential. She felt the weight of their judgment, but she refused to let it shake her. She knew her worth, and she knew that her hard work, integrity, and vision had earned her this opportunity. He seemed to sense her concern. "Don't worry about what others think," he said. "Focus on your goals and let your work speak for itself. People will see your dedication and talent soon enough." His reassurance gave her strength. She realized that the opinions of others could never replace her own belief in herself. Over the next few days, they began hiring staff for the bakery. She interviewed candidates carefully, looking for people who shared her passion and values. She wanted a team that would work together, not just to make profits, but to create a space where customers felt cared for and welcomed. Some applicants were surprised to find her in a position of authority, but she handled it with confidence and kindness, making clear that her expectations were high but fared out as they worked together. She noticed a change in him as well. Without his girlfriend around, he seemed more relaxed, more himself. He shared stories from his own journey, including the challenges he had faced when starting his businesses. Hearing about his struggles made her respect him even more. She realized that behind the wealth and power, he was a human being who had worked hard, made mistakes, and learned from them. One afternoon, as they were reviewing the final design of the bakery, he mentioned that he had ended his relationship with his girlfriend. He had realized that she was controlling and self-centered, and that her behavior had caused unnecessary conflict. She felt a small sense of vindication. It was ironic that the same woman who had caused her humiliation was now completely out of the picture, while she was moving forward into a world of opportunity and growth. That the news spread quietly, and soon people were talking about the new partnership. Some were shocked, others curious. She faced whispers and questions, but she stayed focused on her work. Every meeting, every decision, every plan brought her closer to making her bakery a reality. She knew that her success would speak louder than the rumors. As the opening day approached, they worked tirelessly to ensure everything was perfect. She oversaw the staff training, tasting sessions, and final adjustments to the menu. He provided guidance, support, and encouragement, never taking over, but always being present when she needed advice. Their partnership had grown stronger, built on mutual respect and trust. She also reflected on how much she had changed. The humiliation of being fired had taught her resilience. The guidance and mentorship had taught her strategy and planning. And now, as she prepared to open her bakery, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. She was no longer the timid, uncertain person she had been. She was a confident entrepreneur, ready to face whatever challenges came her way. Opening day finally arrived. The bakery was filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread and pastries. The decor was warm and inviting, and the staff moved efficiently, ready to welcome the first customers. She stood behind the counter, watching the people enter, feeling a mix of nervousness and pride. Each customer who smiled, Each compliment they received made her heart swell. He watched from the side, a quiet satisfaction on his face. He had invested not just money, but time and belief in her. Seeing her succeed was more rewarding than he had imagined. He knew that this bakery was just the beginning, a symbol of what could be achieved when talent, hard work, and trust came together. As the day went on, she interacted with customers, taking orders, answering questions, and sharing the story of the bakery. People were impressed by her passion and knowledge, by the care she put into every detail. Word began to spread, and the bakery quickly gained a reputation for quality, warmth, and excellence. She also noticed the difference in how people treated her now. Where there had once been doubt or skepticism, there was respect. People saw her as a capable entrepreneur, someone who had overcome challenges and was now thriving. The memory of being fired was still there, but it no longer held power over her. It was a reminder of how far she had come, and of the opportunities that could arise from adversity. As the evening approached, the bakery was busy, but everything ran smoothly. She and he shared a quiet moment, looking around at the bustling space. "You did this," he said. "All of it is yours. I only helped guide you." She smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. His belief in her had made this possible, but it was her determination, creativity, and courage that had brought it to life. That night, as she walked home, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Her life had transformed dramatically in a short period. From the humiliation of being fired to the pride of opening her own bakery, she had experienced a journey of growth, resilience, and opportunity. She knew that challenges would continue, but she also knew that she was ready to face them, stronger and wiser than before. She realized that success was not just about wealth or recognition. It was about creating something meaningful, about using her talents to bring joy to others, and about believing in herself even when the world seemed unfair. The bakery was more than a business. It was a testament to her journey, her perseverance, and the power of being seen, heard, and valued. And in that moment, she felt that anything was possible. The bakery had been open for a few weeks now, and the success was undeniable. Customers came from near and far, drawn by the warm atmosphere, the delicious food, and the story behind the woman who had turned her life around. She worked tirelessly, overseeing every detail, from the kitchen to the front counter, ensuring that the quality remained high and the environment welcoming. Each day brought new challenges, but she faced them with confidence, knowing that she had earned her place. He visited often, sometimes quietly observing, sometimes offering guidance. But he never overshadowed her. He understood that this was her achievement, the result of her determination, vision, and hard work. His support was steady and reliable, a foundation she could lean on without feeling diminished. Their partnership had grown stronger, built on mutual respect, trust, and a shared goal of creating something meaningful. News of their partnership spread through the community and beyond. The woman who had once fired her at the restaurant heard about the bakery's success, and the irony was not lost on anyone. People whispered about the dramatic turn of events, amazed that the waitress who had been humiliated was now a respected entrepreneur and partner of a billionaire. She paid little attention to the gossip, focusing instead on the work she loved and the customers she served. Her staff had grown into a team that shared her vision and values. She had carefully selected people who were passionate, hardworking, and kind. Together, they created an environment where every customer felt welcome. Every dish was prepared with care, and every detail was attended to. Watching the team work with dedication and pride filled her with a deep sense of fulfillment. She realized that leadership was not about power, but about inspiring others to do their best and creating a culture of respect and excellence. One afternoon, he asked her to take a moment to reflect on her journey. They sat together in the quiet of the bakery, the aroma of freshly baked bread filling the air. She thought about the past year, the humiliation, the doubt, the moments of fear, and the way those experiences had shaped her. Each challenge had been a stepping stone, each setback a lesson, each encounter a catalyst for growth. She realized that the pain she had once felt had led her to a place she could never have imagined. He smiled as she shared her thoughts. "You've grown so much," he said. "What you've accomplished is remarkable, and it's only the beginning. Remember, this is your story, your achievement. Never let anyone take that away from you." His words resonated deeply. She understood that success was not just about money or recognition. It was about resilience, integrity, and the ability to create something meaningful. As the months passed, the bakery became more than a business. It became a community hub. People came not just for food, but for the warmth and care they felt from everyone who worked there. She hosted small events, offered workshops, and even created programs to support local families in need. The bakery had become a reflection of her values, a space where kindness and generosity were as important as profit. Her life had transformed in ways she could never have imagined. From the humiliation of being fired to the pride of building her own successful business, she had experienced a journey of growth, resilience, and opportunity. She had learned that adversity could be a powerful teacher, that determination and vision could overcome obstacles, and that belief in oneself could open doors that once seemed closed. He continued to support her, but their relationship had evolved. It was no longer just about guidance or mentorship. It was a partnership built on mutual respect, shared goals, and trust. They celebrated successes together, discussed challenges openly, and learned from each other. She realized that collaboration and support could amplify her efforts and help her achieve more than she ever could alone. One day, as they were reviewing plans for expanding the bakery, she received a call from her mother. Her mother's health had improved slightly, and she could now enjoy some of the things she had missed. The joy in her mother's voice reminded her of why she had worked so hard, why she had persevered despite the challenges. Her success was not just her own. It was a shared achievement, a gift to those she loved and cared for. The woman who had once humiliated her remained a distant memory, overshadowed by the life she had built. She no longer felt anger or resentment. Instead, she felt gratitude for the lessons learned and the resilience gained. Life had turned a painful moment into an opportunity for growth, and she embraced it fully. As the bakery continued to thrive, she found herself thinking about the future. There were more ideas to explore, more ways to expand, and more people to help. She realized that success was not a destination, but a journey, and she was ready to continue that journey with determination, creativity, and heart. Customers continued to praise the bakery, drawn not just by the quality of the food, but by the story behind it. They admired the woman who had overcome adversity, stayed true to her values, and created something remarkable. She welcomed each compliment with humility, knowing that the journey had been shaped by both challenges and support, by resilience and guidance. One evening, as the bakery was about to close, she and he stood together, looking around at the bustling space. The aroma of fresh bread, the laughter of staff, and the satisfied smiles of customers filled the air. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of doubt had led to this point, and she was proud of what she had achieved. He turned to her and said, "You did this. All of it? I only helped where I could, but this is your creation. Never forget that." She smiled, feeling a warmth and pride that words could not capture. It was a moment of recognition, a confirmation that her journey, her struggles, and her efforts had truly mattered. Walking home that night, she reflected on everything that had happened. From the humiliation of being fired to the pride of opening a successful bakery, she had experienced a transformation that went beyond material success. She had discovered her own strength, her ability to persevere, and the power of vision and determination. She understood that life could be unfair, but it could also be full of unexpected opportunities, kindness, and growth. She realized that her story could inspire others, showing that resilience, hard work, and integrity could lead to meaningful success. The bakery was not just a business. It was a symbol of her journey, a testament to the power of believing in oneself and embracing opportunities even when they seemed impossible. As she looked toward the future, she felt a sense of excitement and possibility. There were new challenges to face, new goals to pursue, and new dreams to achieve. But she knew that with determination, integrity, and the support of those who believed in her, she could continue to grow, succeed, and make a difference. Her life had changed completely, but the lessons of the past remained with her. She had learned that adversity could be a teacher, that belief in oneself was crucial, and that the right guidance and support could help turn dreams into reality. She had grown from a waitress, humiliated by someone else's cruelty, into a confident, capable entrepreneur and partner of a successful businessman. And as she stood in the quiet of her apartment that night, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here, she felt a deep sense of gratitude and pride. Life had tested her, challenged her, and pushed her to her limits, but it had also rewarded her courage, resilience, and vision. She knew that this was only the beginning, and she was ready for whatever the future held, confident in her ability to continue creating, growing, and inspiring others through her journey.